I'm Tony Massey. I'm a psychiatrist and addiction medicine specialist at Colmac, and some people call me Doc.
My name is Rennie Grant. I am a guitar player, as you can see, addictions counselor at Colmac as well, and also a recovering addict. And they call me Roc.
All right, and that makes us
Roc and Doc.
All right. Well, Rennie.
Yes.
In addition to having a great studio that we're in, thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm glad to invite everyone into my little world.
Yeah. I think we have a question.
We do. So this one's a little bit different than some of the questions we've gotten. This is actually from a parent.
Okay.
About their son. So I think this will be interesting.
Okay.
It says, Doc and Roc. Hi, my name is Warren, and I'm writing to you about my son, Ian. Ian has had a fairly severe drug problem for the past 8 years. He's been mostly using heroin, but also a whole host of other ones, too. Apparently, Ian sounds like, a lot of young people, just sort of whatever comes down the pike, sure, I'll take it. Very, very damaging.
Yeah.
He's finally in treatment, which is good news. Congrats. And he's been clean for a little more than 1 month. He's had a really hard time with these drugs, and he's just not the same as before. So it sounds like, obviously, sort of maybe some anhedonia, some of the flat effect.
We know that with the early recovery, yeah.
Yeah. So he's asking, it feels like we've lost him. That's a really painful statement to hear. Like he's a shell of who he was. Do you guys have any suggestions? My wife and I are really concerned. So that's a heavy question.
Oh, that is.
Sounds like, the parents are, Warren and his wife, are just feeling like their son is maybe not going to come back to them or incapable of coming back to where he was before.
Yeah, sort of like a double or triple loss with the addiction and everything else going on, and now finally, kind of turning a corner of sorts and still, not who they expect him to be and whatever. And again, we see this a lot.
We do.
Why don't I just kind of kick off a little bit of an answer here, just sort of sticking with, people who know me know I go straight to the biology and research. And, I think what may be apparent to Warren and his wife and probably others as well with the son is what happens with chronic active addiction. And it in many ways, it's kind of a hyper-inflammatory state in your whole body, especially in the central nervous system, and driven by, chemical mediators like cortisol, which drives on inflammatory mediators, like the cytokines, particularly cytokine 6.
This is a pretty smart set of stuff.
Pretty smart stuff. So the fact is, you got a bunch of molecules roaming around in your body that when you need them, they're great. But if they're there in a chronic, ongoing thing, they can really take a toll and damage, nerve cells and really cause a disruption in how people function emotionally, cognitively.
You mean people get kind of like, it's hard for them to maintain their emotions, or maybe they get explosive?
Regulate, mostly a lot of us are regulating emotions, feeling, emotions, problem solving, being creative. All these things can kind of diminish quite a bit.
What's that look like in like the person who's been using?
Well, you end up with someone that really has a low tolerance to stress and frustration.
So they're real quick to anger,
and quick inside to feel like they got to do something to get rid of this awful feeling, which usually
hence the relapse process.
Relapse the process, exactly, and often disconnected in kind of meaningful ways from people. Relationships kind of tank a lot in that. The good news is, when you remove that, toxic substances that are driving all of this, in this case the drugs and whatever else that is happening with this one, your body goes into healing mode.
So there's hope.
There's absolutely hope.
Okay.
And there's a concept called neuroplasticity, and it's really it's kind of a new idea that. And really, it means so your brain is always kind of evolving, and if you just kind of get out of its way, it will repair, regenerate, and in many ways become better functioning than kind of where you started with.
But I've always heard that nerve cells can't grow. Is that not true?
It's not true. That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's a false pretense that sort of was going on for a long time.
Yeah.
So now that they realize the brains actually, or nerve cells actually can change?
Nerve cells can change, and more importantly, it's the neurocircuitry, which is how the nerve cells interact with each other and drive, thinking and behavior patterns.
Really?
That the circuitry actually can improve, and again, that's what we see with recovery, that people go on to really blossom as people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen that too, and
mm-hmm.
more from a behavioral standpoint, being in recovery. I've been around a long time,
uh-huh.
but this time I've been sober for 8.5 years. So, but I've also been in recovery since 1984. So I've seen a lot of people come and go, and the people that stick around change in ways that I've never seen
mm-hmm.
in people who aren't in recovery mostly. I mean, I think people can change in other ways too,
mm-hmm.
but in recovery, I've seen people go from a state of just, I guess, flat,
mm-hmm.
flat, sort of depressed, kind of like
mm-hmm.
Ian, to somebody who's just outgoing and happy and fun and
mm-hmm.
spiritual. I could actually be talking about myself, because when I got clean, I was a bit dysfunctional. I had a hard time working. I had a hard time concentrating, focusing, mm-hmm. low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And as I've gone through recovery, it took a while, but as I did the things that were suggested to me
mm-hmm.
by my therapist, in meetings, I didn't see myself change as I was changing. I looked back in time and I would say, I haven't been depressed for the past month.
Right.
And I noticed like an absence of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Warren may be looking for Ian to get better, almost as if there's a cold and the cold is cured. And why isn't Ian breathing successfully through his nose, right? Or chest.
Right.
And it takes a while, Warren. So I think that the one thing that if you're watching and you are recovering and you're feeling like maybe Ian is feeling, it will change.
It will change.
I don't want to say it gets better because everyone has a different idea of what better is, but it will change and it will get easier, I think. But it takes work. And like you said, the like we were talking about earlier, the exercise,
mm-hmm.
and there's some things that people can do actively to change their chemistry.
Right.
What are some of those things?
Well, yeah, and you'll see a lot of people that are running a really good recovery program kind of do pick up on exercise, particularly cardiovascular exercise seems to drive brain growth. Good nutrition, eating a lot of vegetables and fruits, and kind of being mindful to stay away from the processed foods. Again, that is pro brain health. That really helps you out.
So you are what you eat. That's a true statement.
You are what you eat. So I think in terms of what Warren and his wife should do to help Ian out, I think support him, support Ian, and maybe help him have space to do some of these things like exercise, some good nutrition, and maybe instead of thinking things won't get better, have an expectation that they will get better, and maybe Ian will kind of see that and kind of move to that expectation.
And also, I think one of the mistakes parents make that I've seen a lot is either they're enabling, just carrying the child to the, carrying him around everywhere, or just, why can't you get better? Why can't you change? And allowing Ian to be where he is, whether they like where he is or not. I'm sure if he seems unhappy, he probably is. Allowing him the space to figure out what works for himself.
Well, I hope we did it for Warren, and good luck with everything. And I'm glad to hear Ian's got a month in. I expect to hear Warren to give us a note back, letting us know how things are going.
Definitely. So Warren and anyone else, if you've got questions, please don't hesitate to send them to Roc Doc Recovery. It is Roc Doc Recovery, right? I forget the and. RocDocRecovery@gmail.com. Questions, comments, whatever. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.